Mandate.
Sup, fam? Welcome to Mandate, where we talk about anything and everything pertaining to men, and nothing is off the table. And this evening, we have a very special guest. He is there's too many words to describe this man, so I'm gonna allow my co-host over here, Pete, to introduce this wonderful, good-looking young man.
Awesome, man. Thank you, Charles. Hey, yeah, we're in for a real treat tonight with an awesome special guest. He does so much in the community, and so just before we announce it, or more so introduce him, he is a community leader plus a storyteller. He comes from the villages of Whaleapuna and Satu Mahalufi in Upolu, Samoa, and has served in South Auckland community for nearly 20 years and has been recognized locally and internationally for his work. In 2013, he's the published author of I Am Me. In 2016, he won the Sumpix Pacific Community Leader of the Year. The same year, the Australian Mental Health Recognition Award and the Minister of Health Award, Kiwi Local Hero Medal, and also the Christian Unsung Hero Value of Life Award. That's in 2017. But also he was won the Lifekeeper Award and also the New Zealand Champion of Public Speaking. 2018, he was the Kiwi Local Hero semi-finalist, and the same year he was a speaker for the TED Talks in the University of Auckland. And in 2017, became the New Zealand Public Speaking Champion and represented New Zealand at the World Championship of Public Speaking held in Vancouver, Canada, becoming the first Samoan and Polynesian to do so in the competition's nearly 100-year-old history. He continues to serve his beautiful South Auckland community as a Duffy Books and School role model, designing innovative pathways in the mental health and suicide prevention space, mentoring through storytellers, a high school public speaking platform he created for young orators, and also creating initiatives that enhance and empower the community. Currently, he serves as the Kaiarahi pastor at Navigators Church in Papakura. Also, he was born in the beautiful place, or the beautiful islands, which is known to us as the Pearl of the Pacific, the Sacred Center, or the Pride of the Pacific, which is Samoa. Yes, Samoa. Educated in Innis and lives in Mangere. He serves in South Auckland with his wife Lydia and 6 boys. And with all that has been mentioned, he says that his greatest achievement in life are his 6 sons, Zach, Cant, Micah, Ryan, Ruben, and Caleb. Minita. Welcome to the show, Pastor Joseph Fafiu.
Woo. Ooh. I don't know who that guy was, but so be with you guys tonight. Mandate, privileged to be here. Malo Sufumo, Malangi Mama, and it's such a great opportunity. So thanks so much, guys. I'm excited about being in this conversation with you guys, and I appreciate it.
Awesome, Pastor Joseph. Hey, just very quickly, Pastor Joseph, before we kind of dive into the interview tonight, because we're in lockdown. I know it's been the 5th time in New Zealand or in Tamaki Makaurau. And we are level 4, but tomorrow we'll be heading into level 3. And so I'm just wondering, how's it been different this time around? And I'm talking about more so mentally. How's it been for you in this lockdown?
I think a bit more aware of what was to come. So a lot easier in that way from a mental perspective. I kind of geared myself before it came. So the week when it was announced, I was kind of ready in my mind just how to process things, and also not to put too much pressure on myself, because I'm one of those guys that has a plan for a plan and has a plan for another plan and puts things into place straight away. But I really felt a real calm about not putting too much pressure on myself and just leaving that pressure just to really focus on getting my boys sorted for the first week, and also just working out our home timetable first, and then I got onto the work stuff. Because if the home's running well, then the work stuff can run a bit smoother. So it was easier for me in that way. So it's a lot better than last time. And I learned a lot of lessons, and still learning a lot of lessons from the last time.
Oh, awesome.
That's me. You're quite an active person, Pastor Joseph. I see you crossfitting out there. I see you out and doing different events like mud runs and so forth. How have you been keeping yourself active during this lockdown?
Yeah, been doing some runs in the morning and then going for a family walk in the afternoon. So at about 3 o'clock every day for the last 35 days now. It's been in lockdown. We've been walking as a family, just going around the block. I think we do like a 4K walk around. So just do that
nice.
more with them. Yeah, so trying to not to overdo it, because the last time in lockdown I hurt my Achilles, so I don't want to kind of go back. I learned my lesson that I'm not the young guy anymore. I've just got to take my time and enjoy what I can do. So try and get those walks and the runs in the morning and in the afternoon, and just be consistent, because it's about the everyday things, there's little things, not trying to be a hero, but actually just keep moving forward.
That's me.
Awesome. Sorry, Pastor Joseph. For the men who are watching this and probably you don't know who you are, they'll be, oh, who's Pastor Joseph? Obviously, they know you're a pastor and you're in the ministry, Pastor Joseph. But for those guys who are like, oh, I want to know what was he like, or what kind of shaped him, or what kind of influenced him, kind of growing up. And so, if you can give us a little bit of an insight of of your formative years and how you kind of grew up and what shaped you, also.
Yeah, no problem. So originally born in Samoa, so 1980. It was my brother and I. My brother's 2 years older than me, and we came over to New Zealand in 82, I think it was, 82 with our parents. Our parents came over, and we hear the story of coming over for to experience the land of milk and honey, but actually my parents came over because my dad's siblings were here, and they were getting homesick, and my dad being the eldest in the family, he came over to support them, and our story was like that he actually ended up helping them through some kind of that isolation period, and then he decided to stay. So we probably wasn't a mistake, but it wasn't the plan at first. So we came over, we stayed in Mount Wellington, Pemure for a period of time in a flat there. Then we moved around to the state housing. So we were in the state housing system for a long time with my parents, and we stayed in Glen Innes. So we moved from Glen Innes, Mount Wellington, Pemure to Glen Innes. Stayed in Glen Innes for a long time. And then I think it was 90, don't want to make up the dates, about the early 1990s, my dad won a car.
Wow.
Won a car, and the story goes that he won it, then he didn't pick it up. He actually sold it. He sold it that day, and he actually got the deposit for a house that they currently live in today.
Wow.
And so we moved in our first home as a family very early on, and so that was our first kind of I guess foundational years of seeing parents really work hard, because when they come over from the islands, and they already got a full-on work ethic, and so for me it was like looking at that. My parents were working 2 jobs each, as we hear the story of many of our Polynesian people come over just to make sure they do the hard yards. But that moment for me, for us getting into a house, was a key turning point for the way I saw life and the way I perceived things, that anything is possible. And it's really that whole thing of a good work ethic, and also there were God-fearing people as well. But also at the same time, it was those little moments that people don't see, the late hours in the morning, they're coming home, sleeping most of the day, then working again. A story that we all know. That actually made a really impact on me, because it made me realize that my parents weren't lazy people. They actually worked hard. And even if I didn't see it for myself, I could hear it in their voice. I could hear it in in the way they saw things. So we lived in Glen Innes, and then we moved to Pemure, where they bought their house, which is the same as our family house, and they're still in their house today, in Pemure. So grew up, parents very educated. I'm really focused on education, so they sent us to very, at the time, very expensive schools. So we went to a school. My sisters went to a school in Remuera, and my brother and I went to a school and my youngest brother went to a school in Glen Innes, called Sacred Heart, just at the top of the hill there in GI, if you know the area. So they invested a lot to us around education. That education could open doors for us. So for us, it was kind of a crazy thing, growing up the state housing and then actually owning your own home. It was a game changer, right? It was a game changer for us. and it made us. It's amazing because when we look back, all our siblings are very much that minded. You know that anything is possible. That there's no hurdles that you can't get over. Yeah, you got to put the effort in, put the work in, but there's nothing that's impossible. So we'll kind of come to that mindset. So yeah, so we grew up in that kind of environment. But the awesome thing is that our parents, like many of our parents, are great examples in the area of work ethic, hard work, getting the job done, making sure it happens, and also getting those outcomes. Yeah, so I don't want to talk too much. So hopefully,
That's cool. Awesome.
That's powerful. That's powerful because, you know, for our Pacifica people, one, our struggles are real, and trying to get onto the property market is another story, and trying to navigate through all the issues that we are faced, and so hearing your story is quite a powerful testimony and encouragement for men who are out there that are on a similar journey. And so thank you for and so like just hearing your story, because it sounds like from quite a young age you understood what it meant to really work hard. How old were you around that time?
So it was, I think we moved into the house. I was only 15, so probably 15.
Wow.
Yeah, so very, much younger. Yeah, and also obviously I had two young sisters. My baby brother wasn't born then. Yeah, but it was a really crazy area because crazy moment for us because we lived in the road it's called Green Road. It's in Pemure, and it's a lot of like you drive past there. It's one of those places you think, oh, you can't afford a house in there, but it was just a good timing to purchase a house. He had the right deposit. He bought it. But it was for us, it was just changed our mindset, that, we can afford something like that we can be in that position, that we can achieve that, and even though we didn't do anything practically, my parents done all the hard work and made us change our way of thinking that, hey, man, there's nothing that we can't do unless you just got to put effort into it and actually all those all the hard work's behind the scenes, and people don't have to see it. It's just what's happening, what's going on, and it's just chipping away every day.
That's so cool. And has that sort of influenced you to impact others on the same journey in terms of like how to navigate through their goals and their dreams and trying to continue to work hard and build a great future, not only for them but for their children?
Yeah, totally. And it's given us, not just myself, my siblings as well. All of us are very, like I said before, very focused on all different kind of spheres of influence, but we have a similar mindset that we can break down those walls, we can climb those walls if we need to, and that's the kind of input we give into other people with that. Why isn't it possible? Because of where you live, because of what someone else told you couldn't do, or because you think that you're being framed by the color of your skin. So it's really breaking out of that narrative and actually creating your own narrative to move forward. And so
that's awesome.
a lot of those conversations I have with people is that when they go, oh, it's not possible, and I go, why? Who said? Oh, you just don't have the money, but you're such a hard worker. You can, if you stop the ongoing buying here, you can actually save here and afford it. So
that's awesome.
It's just changing the mindset, because I think we get stuck in a lane that doesn't belong to us. And maybe it's time to switch the lane and get into a lane that we should be owning. And for a long time with young people coming through, I always try to break that mindset that, hey, no, it's possible. Don't you dare say it's not possible, because you're good enough, you're intelligent enough, and you have the ability to be a game changer in this environment. So go and change it, because that means there's other people looking at you to actually go, man, once you change it, I'm going to change it. So that's the encouragement I like to do when I actually try and do things. Is actually it's not possible, because who said it was Master Mandela. It's not possible until it's possible, something like that. Can't remember the actual quote, but it's a good one. It can be done.
That's awesome, and it's quite fitting because what's the name of your church, Pastor?
Navigators.
Hey, get and so like just your whole journey is around um navigating different pathways and just can you sort of just share a bit about how you guys came to the decision to name your church Navigators and how it sort of oozes out in the way you do things, not just for church but the community.
Yeah, so the church we actually took over was already doing a lot of community things, and I think the gel between me coming on board as the new leader and also the church DNA, they kind of gelled really well. But I knew that I had to wait for a little bit just to let um, the water go under the bridge a little bit in terms of making a change of the name. So we kept the old name, which was the Gate, for about 5 years, and then we just thought it was timely that we change it. And we are not just Polynesians, not just Maori, but um, every society has been on a journey in some way or another. They've had to navigate through um, valleys and mountains in their lives, and so we kind of took that whole thing of being a navigator, finding your way through life, and actually making your way to where you need to go. So it's actually finding that place where you can actually navigate through any situation. And so that we had that whole conversation, and it just came out. And when we actually released it to our church whānau, church family, it was just a resounding yes. And it was like, wow, this is us. And the crazy thing is that a week later we went into lockdown for that first lockdown, because we only changed it last year. And it just timely of it, that even though the storms in life will face, we can navigate through. It's just really about how we position ourselves and actually which wind to carry, what to do, and all that stuff, and anchoring yourself and what you believe and what you feel is right at that time. So yeah, so that was a journey, and we're still on that journey now. It's an ongoing thing that we're doing.
Cool. While we're in the sort of space of talking about church, and I know I'm acknowledging you as pastor. Sometimes in Christian circles and just people in general, we sort of put pastors on a pedestal and think that they're bulletproof, and sometimes we think they're supermen. So I'm gonna ask you like a real question, like what is it really like sometimes when you're leading a church and some of the different emotions and mental states that you may or may not go through? Are you able to touch on that, Pastor?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's stressful at times. I think one of the big things is that when you're part of a church, you're just caring for your family on this journey of faith. But when you're a pastor, you're caring for a multitude of families.
Wow.
So that's how I define the difference. And so you're always thinking, how are they? Are they doing well? Just even this week, we had one of our church family have a heart attack, and he was in Middlemore. So it's all those things. Are they being looked after? Following that up, and that gets to you. If you're not looking after your own personal well-being, which is a journey that every male goes on, every leader goes on, every pastor goes on. If you're not looking after your well-being up here, it can get to you. It can be overloading, and it can be full on. You can't. And I think that's the problem, is that we love to throw Christian jargon on and everything, and we go, "Oh, you'll be right." The Lord's with you. But the main thing is that in that I always say, "Well, the Lord's brought me my brothers," and so I encourage our men just to really be there for each other, because the Lord can use them through those moments. And so it's really just being able to and keep it simple, but also being real and transparent and being open and honest about where you're at. And I'm very open, for all the guys in our local and our church, very open about where I'm at and where my journey has brought me from, and also the journey forward, because none of us are perfect.
That's awesome.
And none of us are bulletproof, as you said. But it's actually being in a position to say, hey, I'm vulnerable enough. I need help, and I look at the example, and we're going to go Bible and talk about Jesus. We look at him, and he got into some vulnerable positions, but he had his also the disciples with him. They were there praying for him, and protecting him, but also at the same time being there just for him to be there with him and guide him through those moments where he was anxious, and just being real about that with your brothers, whether it be in the church context, whether it be in the workforce, whether it be with your own family, just being able to have those I'm not feeling too good conversations, or just being open about it and not just throw all this Christian jargon over it.
Yeah, that's cool.
And not just do one of those sly, just I'll pray for you, but really,
No.
didn't even do anything. Didn't pray for me. Yeah, so it's really just being honest and being
cool.
real, but also being vulnerable.
So, sorry, Pastor Joseph, because and you touched on something. I love what you said. The Christian jargon. I think sometimes we kind of Christianize things or Christianese the language, and I think for a lot of men who are watching this as well, just because you are in the ministry, and for a lot of people, they put pastors or ministers at high esteem or on a pedestal sometimes. But for you in this day and age, and being a man, what has been the hardest things? What has been like the struggles of being in ministry for you as not only the pastor and the leader? What's been the kind of like the common theme that you notice not only in yourself but also the other pastors out there in the ministry or Christianity?
There's I think there's so many things. There's so many things that that pastors carry, and there's some things that pastors don't need to carry as well. I think we try to be heroes, put our capes on and fly out that door every day. But in reality, I've learned that I just got to stay in my lane as where I'm at. I'm a local pastor in Papakura, in Auckland. I've influenced where I can, where the Lord grants me wisdom to do. But at the same time, I've got to be okay, and He's given me grace for that, and not to step outside of that and actually fight battles that I shouldn't be fighting, because you can pick a fight with anyone or with anything, but the thing is that you got to stay in your lane, because only God can give you grace for that place, and if you're outside of that and you get burnt out, it's because you weren't in His grace. You were doing your own thing, trying to be a whiapoko, as my mum would say to me, don't be a whiapoko and don't be a know-it-all, and just stay in that place where you need to be. So there's so many conversations happening out there, so many conversations with leaders and all that stuff. There's heaps of stuff happening, but it's really for me personally, what's on me, what's on my life that I need to be walking in, and be okay with that, not trying to outreach or overreach into something that's not mine. I've seen young pastors come in and also guys struggle, because they've actually found themselves fighting battles that they shouldn't be fighting, but actually being able to get back into their lane and fight for the things that God has placed for them.
Wow, that's so interesting, because I think for a lot of men who sometimes, like, I think there are people out there who think, okay, I can't really talk to the pastor about issues. I can't really, because the pastor, he's the pastor, he's the man of God. And so I think hopefully with our kōrero and our conversation, it kind of changes the perspective or the idea of, I can't talk to you. And the thing is, to be honest, Pastor Joseph, you in terms of you're quite approachable, and I know your heart is for the community, and your heart is for everyone. And so I need to ask you, was this always something that you had in mind, like being in the ministry, or was it something just that you felt like, was it like a vocation, or was it like a calling, like that God said, hey, I'm calling you to be a pastor? Or was it something that you just like, hey, maybe it's something that...
Were you chasing the mea lofa or the tithing or the bling bling, or is there someone that inspired you with all the golden rings?
Was there a woman who...
Really, man. I was going, what's this going on? What's going on here? Well, to be honest, I didn't even want to be.
Well,
I didn't. I was doing my study as a teacher at Teachers College. It just worked out that a few things worked in terms of everything fit together in a moment of time where the conversation came out, and me and the pastor that became my mentor, sat down in a coffee place out in Howick and just asked me, what does your future look like? Where do you see yourself? And I said, oh, probably teaching, probably having a few kids. Then he challenged me. No, he said, no, you can be more. And no, I think you can be more. And I said, oh, what's more than this? Yeah, then he just that conversation turned into a journey that him and I had on this journey of finding out what was the fit for me, or what kind of worked out for me in terms of pastoring and that. And then later on, just the timing was right that they invited me onto the pastoral team to look after children's ministry back in 2002, I think it was 2002. So nearly 20 years, next year.
Wow.
I really enjoyed it. I didn't know what to expect, to be honest, because I wasn't too sure what to expect, but I just knew it was right. There was that, I don't know if you get that feeling in you sometimes that it sits right, I feel at peace with it. And that's what I felt, and there was other comments made and other guys, we had times of prayer and it just felt right, and I said to him, I'm ready to come on.
Oh.
So that's nearly 20 years ago. So but I never went out to go to the careers office and go, oh, is there a pastor on the look at the bus, how much does that?
How much is the starting rate?
No, I don't want to be that one, because I actually wanted to be an architect.
Oh, what?
Yeah. Then they told me I had to do physics or something, so I didn't do physics. So I went into teachers college.
Wow.
So that was a shift. That was a real shift. But to be honest, it kind of hand in glove. I really enjoy what I do, and I really do enjoy the people that I get to connect with every day via Zoom or via face to face. So wow. Really enjoyed it. Just thank God they gave me a chance.
Damn.
20 years in ministry, man. That's
it's crazy.
That's some resilience right there, brother. So, and you're still young, still evolving, and so good. You mentioned the word or the term mentor. And for a lot of men, I can't speak for everyone, and especially our young ones. It's a foreign term, and we don't really have like much mentorship relationships. So, are you able to explain what having a mentor means to you, and how would you go about seeking a mentor or being a mentor to someone?
So for me, it was foreign to me as well. I was just the guy that moved stuff at the back of have youth church, just moved the speakers around. But I really thank the Lord for the moment in time where this particular guy, Michael, I can say his name, great guy, he just came along and just made time for me. And that was the main thing. He made time for me. And I just sat with him, and he actually wanted to know my future, what I kind of perceived as the future. And the great thing about it is he actually goes, let's make a plan together, And so for me personally, it was a whole intentionality. Someone that actually sits down with you and is intentional about your well-being, intentional about your future, intentional about getting your goals achieved, but also making sure that your character is built in that time as well. And so he was a guy that just sat down with me and just really invested so much, So those two terms, though, investment and intentionality, were two terms I would say if you're looking for a mentor, you got to ask yourself: are they a person that is going to really invest into you? Are they going to be a person that's going to be intentional? Are they going to ask you the hard questions? Are they going to are they going to challenge you on where you're at? Are they going to challenge you on your character and your integrity, all that stuff? But I would say, do they want the best for you? So it was foreign to me, but I just love the experience of being able to go on that journey, and still on that journey as well today. 20 years on, nearly 20 years on, still on that journey. We just had our marriage waft. We call it marriage waft. Warrior Fitness for our marriage.
Wow.
Just before lockdown. So we still get it from this couple who are amazing, Michael Nelson. And but for us, that tells me that they want to invest, if they're still wanting to answer our phone call. If they're going, going, okay, he changed his number, maybe he doesn't want to catch up. So that's that whole intentionality, investment, and also that there's a connection there as well. So you got to be connected in some way with the mentor as well. So you got to have some interests that are the same as well. So there's some 3 I's there, and interests, investment, and intentionality around my mentor.
That's awesome.
So cool.
I'm just writing that down for when I go look for one.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
We saw the
Did you say that you were Charles' mentor?
Oh, he's my mentor. Charles is my mentor.
I'm the mentor.
He's a mentor. Man. Oh man, nice one, Pastor Joseph. Hey, Pastor Joseph, because you are in the ministry, and I think just going back to you being a pastor, because you do a lot in the community, and so you're not the kind of like the traditional pastor. You're out there, you're out and about, you're doing things. And what I do want to touch on, because you I remember, was it 2015, Pastor Joseph? You started the walk for hope.
Yeah, the Hope Walk. Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry, the Hope Walk.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hope Walk. And since then I've noticed you pop up. Your name pops up everywhere, and you're doing so much in the community. It's like, man, this guy, man. And I think people have this image of a pastor. Yeah, obviously in the church Sunday and just meet and greet people, but you are quite entrepreneurial. Well, that's what I kind of gauge. And you're not the traditional pastor. And so, just tell us a little bit about the Hope Walk, because how did it come about? How did the whole thing?
Yeah.
How did you establish that Hope Walk?
Yeah, so the story is that we lost a friend in 2010 to suicide. A close friend of ours. We just had dinner. I think it was 2 nights before, and we just played that buzz game a week before because we had caught up. So so sadly we lost to 2010, and so it's a whole framing that we do sometimes as Christians. It's it was raw, it was real, but then we add our jargon onto it, which is not helpful sometimes. And I'm not saying in that moment that happened, but I'm just saying that sometimes it's not helpful when people just need to be able to mourn, or to be able to open up and be raw about it.
Yeah.
And so in that moment, back then, it was more for us, my wife and I. It was like, where do we go, or who do we talk to? Because now everyone wants to pray for you, but you don't want to pray. You can. Yeah, I love the prayer, but man, I just want someone to sit down and listen. I don't know what my feelings are doing right now. I don't know. And you start pointing fingers, and you go, man, what went wrong? What happened? What did I do? You feel that guilt trip. And so that set the platform for us to really go on that journey for ourselves, just to work through some of our emotions and some of the stuff that we were dealing with, but also if there were anyone else. So it was a long journey. We got some healing through that as well. It's just processed it a lot. Got some good guidance from, like I said, my mentor as well. My wife and I, just on that journey. So they helped us through really well. And but also for us, we just thought, man, because my mind automatically goes community. I just thought, man, I wonder what our community feels like when in those moments where they're reaching out and they're not too sure where to reach out to. You're putting your hand out and you go, you get slapped back in your face and you go, I get over it, or harden up and you'll be right. But it's dealing with those raw emotions. So basically, the story, fast forward 2015, I just thought, man, it'd be cool just to get like an event, because when it comes to stuff, I like doing things together in a community setting. So I just said, oh, good. My wife and I are going for a walk with a few other friends in terms of suicide prevention. We want to acknowledge, but also we had Youth Line on board to give some resources as well. So it was all about connecting the resource and also the community. But man, what happened in 2000 to we put on Facebook 2015 October. By the time it came to February 2016, it had blown up to, I think it was, we had on the day we had approximately 3,000 people come for a walk. which we didn't expect. We had an indication because of Facebook, but we didn't expect that many people. But so we knew that there was a hurting community. People were still kind of working through their own emotions, and it was still raw.
Yeah.
And so from there, the journey started, where we started to explore how we can engage with our community more intentionally, because we didn't just want to have walks. We just want to make sure it's intentional as well, that there's something in for them in terms of resourcing. They can find support, they can find counselors. So we started this whole movement around that, and then it started to grow from there. We had different people in different communities from around the world contact us, and so we had to kind of frame a catch net just to make sure that they're protected as well. So in this space as well, because when you talk about suicide, it's not a tabletop topic. It's not something you just talk around the dinner table. It's raw. You're dealing with raw emotions, so it's really just making sure we're guiding that conversation safely. So the crazy thing is that my first workshop I went to was actually taken by was led by Pitia in Caroline. It was the Safe Talk, but it was under Lifeline at the time, eh? And they had the contact then.
Right.
Yeah. So that was the first ever. Then I went on to done some other courses, because I just don't want to do something and not be trained or have enough knowledge around the topic, and also keeping our community safe. So it exploded from there, went to different countries, and we celebrated 5 years last year in lockdown. So still going strong. But the good thing is that all the different Hope Walks around the world have become their own trusts as well, as we wanted it, because we didn't want to just build this big machine and there was no intentionality behind it. So
wow.
So still going strong, 6 years now. So
That's so cool, Pastor Joseph, because I didn't realize how big it is. I did have a look at on stuff, because on stuff.co.nz, and they did say it was in Canada, some other countries.
Yeah, so USA,
UK.
Ireland, Fiji done theirs 2 years ago, and it's part of their health system now. So it's part of what they do as part of, because the thing is that, it's one thing having a walk, but there's got to be a connection point to other resources. A walk is what we realize is a walk is a great in health sector, they call it community organization, which is the big event. Everyone's there, you get the community engaged. But then there's another methodology they use, which is called co-design, which you got to work with the community to see what would actually help them. So we got onto that phase, and it just exploded. So we wanted to make sure that everyone was safe around the world as well, who were leading a lot of these Hope Walks and that. So so people honor themselves, to be honest. It was never meant to be me on top of the hill. It was more about community-led action, led by people who have been touched by suicide in some way.
Wow. And I can prove that, like you say, it's not about you. It's never been about you trying to, this Pastor Joseph from the Navigators Church, and because I was reading through that the article on stuff.co.nz, and I do want to quote from stuff.co.nz. These are your words, Pastor Joseph. Our slogan is stronger together, and you said this: no single agency or group can fix this. We have to work together and be encouraged by each other. The Hope Walk movement will not change a thing by itself, but together we are stronger. Together we can turn the tide. Yeah. Bro, man, it's a true testament of who you are, Pastor Joseph. I think some people tend to believe their own hype and all that kind of stuff, but no, you are a true testament of really helping others. It's not about you; it's about you helping others and growing together as a community. And bro, that's and you say that right here as I read out your own words. And so, going on the line of suicide, Pastor Joseph, what do you think? What do you think in terms of the rates and the high rates in Aotearoa or in New Zealand? Why do you think that a lot of our men are dying by suicide?
Yeah, this obviously we use that term that there's a variety of reasons. There's a variety of reasons why people. There's not just one set thing. But But I guess it is a tough question to answer. But I guess from my experience, and I can only speak from my experience, the guys I've come across or the families I've actually sat down with and done some bereavement stuff with, and that support setting as well, when we do follow-ups with families and that, a lot of these men were loved, but whether they knew that was another thing. It is a tough setting, but it's also made us realize that maybe in the area of connection, where they're connected to the right people, where they're connected to the right mentors or the right brothers who can assist them. And it's so hard, because I don't want to pinpoint one story, but there's so many other stories that you can use. But the whole area of identity as well, who they are as a man, what does that mean in today's society? What does it mean for them? Because sometimes you can put the bar up so high that even you can't reach it. And then you go and look at life, and you compare it to your brothers doing really well, and you go, who's that? Roosevelt said, no comparison is the thief of joy, of your joy. So you start to compare your life with everyone else's life. You compare what they've got, you compare someone's car, someone's house, but at the end of the day, that robs you of your everyday joy. Because sometimes if you look at some of the cases of some men, they've had some amazing environments they've come from. And also some men have had some traumatic environments as well. So it's really tough to kind of gauge on where it stands. But I don't want to throw it out there that I know everything about it. But it's definitely a journey that I'm working with some guys as well. And trauma is a big thing as well. And being able to get healing from trauma as well, from your early days as well, which plays a big part. So these are a variety of things I guess I can throw out, but every case I would say is different, so hopefully it answers something, but
That's good.
That's awesome.
Pastor, in terms of your experience with working with men, because we've always told that, especially Pacifica men, it's hard for us to really express ourselves. It's hard for us to be real towards each other. And what are some barriers you think that are sort of what are some barriers that men face that doesn't allow us to express ourselves or become vulnerable?
I think one of the big things is the whole thing of am I good enough? When you're talking to your group of friends and they're all talking about their day, and it comes to you and you don't really have anything, and you go, and it plays on your mind on that stuff. It's that whole comparison game again. You start playing in your mind, and then if you don't deal with that straight away, it builds up. Because there was this doco I watched. It's not the big things. It's more the small things that you don't deal with over your life that start to add up.
Wow.
And those things start building up, and then it's one moment where it gets too much. And my wife has this wonderful quote, if you keep sweeping cockroaches under the carpet, the cockroaches are never gone. It just builds a bigger mountain. And so one day you're going to trip over that rug. And so it's that whole scenario would happen, it's just all these little things. If you're not dealing with some trauma from a childhood, some abuse, that eats at you. But you put it in the back head, and you're in the back of your head, and you think that's not an issue. Then something else happens. Then a mate might say something to you at work, you're an egg, and then you go, it plays back on a memory back then, which it was just a statement, but actually clicks in, am I good enough, and it plays on you and all that stuff. It starts to build up. And then we have this whole facade that we put up, we start masking everything, because you just don't want to be the weak link in the pack. And you go, everyone goes, is everyone all right? And you go, yeah, all good. And then I'm fine, man, all good, man, life's sweet. But you're really the dying inside. And so it's really asking again and again, are you all right? Are you all right? No, serious also. You're right. So just that consistent care and conversation that needs to be open as well. But also, I think we're getting better, but still got to keep it going, because we start to put the masks back up again.
Harder. What are some ways you think that us as men, and as people, like can navigate through spaces of healing, and sort of a way forward for us to like sort of build spaces where we can really trust in one another? Do you have any suggestions?
For me, I keep my group small. My waka, I call it a waka. And it's something we introduced to all our men and also our ladies and our local as well. And every time I talk to someone, I'm saying, who's in your waka? Because the people in your waka will either decide will either help you row into your destiny or keep you in your history. So you got to check, you got to make sure you watch who's in your waka. Because not everyone should be in your waka, they could be sinking the whole thing. So, just checking on those things. I have really... I've got friends, you got colleagues, you got friends, you got family members, but in my actual waka, I've only probably got 4 friends that know me. Doesn't know me, doesn't get caught up in the social media hype, doesn't get caught up in the I'm okay hype. But it's those people that I keep, they know me and go, man, I've heard you say something, or I heard you text something, or I saw you text something, and can get back to you and go, man, what's going on? What's really going on? I had one of those conversations last night with also, which was awesome. But that's where the vulnerability, you got to create that. You got to be intentionally creating that, or also just, if you're not consistently doing it, that wall comes up again. The mask goes back on again. And so I'll encourage all the men, you get maybe 2-3 guys that you could be open with, and just, you don't have to tell the world. Just tell those 3 guys, keep me accountable, keep me on track. If I'm saying something that doesn't sound right to you, call me up on it. Literally call me up and talk to me, let me know. And even making it part of our conversations, not just waiting until a moment where you're at home and you can call up someone, but even when you're at rugby. And I had this a moment like this at a league game where I also came up and just said, hey, and we just started talking. And even though the league game was on and we were both there for the same league game, we just started talking about life. We just talking about the struggles. We started talking about he was going through some stuff as well, and I just told him how I got through some of my personal struggles. And I didn't know what the score line was at the end of their league match, but we walked away as brothers, as men, knowing that we had a good conversation on the sideline, and it was normal. It was a normal conversation, which we made normal. It wasn't this whole I'm struggling with mental health, I'm struggling with mental illness. It wasn't that kind of conversation. It was a life conversation.
Wow,
that's powerful. That's cool.
Cool, Pastor Joseph.
It's helpful, guys.
Yeah. No,
man, because it's in line with someone else that we had interviewed, and they suggested the same thing. Have that tight knit group. Have a code word when I'm going through something. They have a code word where they text out and some of the boys are there straight away. And so it's it's really encouraging to hear that.
Yeah.
Pete, sorry, did I cut you off?
Oh, no, all good. Just because I know you're a father of 6 boys, and you mentioned they're the greatest achievement in your life, and so I'm thinking, because I know every generation is different from the previous generation, and so I'm thinking more so of this generation, and our kids are growing up, and more so for you, your boys are growing up, and so what do you think? What do you think in terms of this generation now? What do you think is the current state of our men today, or our boys today? What do you think? And just your personal thoughts, Pastor Joseph.
Today these are, I guess, the men that grow up in today's society, young people. There's a sense of the world owes them something. I've arrived. It's like that whole thing. I'm here. You are blessed because I've walked in the room. That's that whole thing. And I've got to remind my boys, I've got teenagers now, so I've got to remind them, you are a blessing. You're a blessing to our family. You're a blessing to mum and dad. But at the end of the day, you still gotta work it. You gotta make sure you hustle hard. You make sure you put the effort in. Because there's going to be someone else working harder than you to get to that place. So it's really instilling in this generation, some ethics around. You got to work, man. Nothing falls on your lap. It's like you're sitting under the tree and go, "Oh, is it going to happen?" So it's really just, I guess, getting back to the place of working for that, but not working for your. It's not a working for your identity, because you should know in some way who you are, and if you don't, finding people that can guide you in that journey. But it's more working. If you want to achieve something, put the hard yards in, and also just have a good work ethic. Resilience is missing a lot.
Yeah,
everything is hard, and we're finding it with the lockdown. My kids thought it was a holiday. But because they got me as their dad, now I'm emailing their teachers for them, saying, these are goals we want to achieve, and these are things that my boys will be grateful for one day. They don't see it now, but I know that one day they'll look back in hindsight and say, man, thank you for calling up my teachers, thank you for emailing them. So it's really just investing into our youth, those things of resilience, a good work ethic, but also how you feel is not facts sometimes. It's like everyone feels like, I feel like this one day and I feel like that, but it's also just about knowing what's in front of you and getting it done, because sometimes when you have to go to work, I don't feel like going to work. Well, get up, get up and just get it done, because at the end of the day, they need you and you need to.
Wow.
So it's those things. I guess I've grown up in that environment, and when you look around, and I'm sure you guys have as well, you look around and I think I've seen so many YouTube clips and also social media clips of other young people around hanging out in different like town centers. They just are wrecking stuff, and I go, man, that's not their story. They got to rewrite their story now.
Yeah.
So, but obviously they need mentors. They need people to come alongside them and encourage them into the right direction.
Pastor, how do you communicate that though to your teenagers? Like, because we're hearing this amazing encouragement, but we don't know the real struggle or how you're communicating
the traditional way, or the
because man, I'm a father as well, and I find it really tough trying to navigate through how to communicate to my children what we see and how we were brought up, and sort of trying to unlearn like the way it was communicated to us, and there's this expectation that, hey, this is what we went through, like you're trying to make them understand that, but it's hard it's very different times. Can you share some war stories?
Tell us a story of
oh man, we've got heaps of stories. At the end of the day, because they remind you that you're from the old days, So that was only like 20 years ago. And so they remind you that you're not young, but it's really about for us as a family, and I can only speak for this family unit and our ainga here. There's really that conversation, sitting down, having that talk. My boys go through same struggles as any teenagers. I've got two teenagers, one's turning 13. So I have in 2 weeks' time. So I have a third teenager joining the. So half of the boys will be teenagers, and half of them will be under that age. So the lessons I've learned is really that open communication around being honest about where I'm at as a dad and where I want to see them, but also asking them, where do you see yourself? And sometimes the answer is, I don't know. Or it's like, if the boys, it's like, okay, it's a guessing game now, playing charades, eh? We say, okay, let's play. But it's really, to be honest with you, if we can get into that conversation, and my wife and I have done this for years around our dinner table, having those conversations, but also just acknowledging that my boys are trying to have time one-on-one with them. and just take them apart, not in front of each other, just saying, hey man, I see you're struggling here. What's your struggle? And they would say, maybe I don't understand what they're talking about. I don't understand the subject, or if it's like a life school thing, I'm struggling with this, I'm struggling for that. It's really just that conversation around, let's talk, let's see where you want to go and what you want to achieve. So yeah, it's just practical things, but it's not just you can't just flip a switch and it happens, and I think you got to be patient with yourself as parents, but also don't give up on your kids as well, because sometimes you go, oh, that's it. I've given you enough resource, enough wisdom. You got to go and make your own way. But I think we'll never stop being parents. We'll never stop being dads. So it's really just every day. Hey, are you all right? Are you good? Oh yeah, I'm just struggling with this. Go for a run. Just go for a run on the book. And then it's just conversation. Then he comes back and he gets a bit calmer, and we can talk about stuff. So there's no silver bullet for this. It's really about those conversations you have, and they're going to be very awkward conversations. Some conversations that you never had with your parents, because my parents never spoke about sex to us. It was like it just happened. It was like a miracle. It's like the baby came, the stork came, and there was no talking about sex. And then we got to have that conversation with our kids, and we're going, okay, how does this go? Okay, so it's really just those conversations will come, and those awkward moments, but you got to be okay with that. And guess what? You're gonna fail. You got to be okay with that as well. There's no perfect parent. We're all on a journey, and we're all discovering what it's like to parent teenagers, but also just keep it simple as well. I think one of the big things that I've learned is I got to keep it simple. And I learned very early on with my boys, these three things. There's a book that I read, Growing Great Boys, by Ian Grant. It was a great book. When I became a dad, three key things. Our boys need rules, routine, and ridiculousness. So rules are the guidelines and the boundary lines. Routine is consistency. They need consistency, because if they break out of routine, they break out of routine, and then they can do anything they want. There's no routine in there. And ridiculousness is really the resting times. There's times where you can have fun with your kids. Let them see you happy.
Wow, that's cool.
Let them see you laughing your head off. Let them see you enjoying life. And I needed to learn that as a dad, that my boys still, even though they're older and they're getting taller than me, they still need to see dad laugh and enjoy life, or also just think that dad was boring his whole life. He just told us what to do instead of living a life that I wanted to be part of. So yeah, so still on a journey, guys. I'm still learning.
Wow, that's powerful. Thanks, Pastor. We're interviewing you, and I feel like I'm getting counseling. So I've written down all these triple I's, triple R's. Be ridiculous, but just don't be X-rated. That's what you said.
Yeah. That's
it. Can you get more than the other, Pastor Joseph? More than ridiculous?
There's one R that you add on when they become teenagers. Respect.
Yeah.
Which is a big one. Yeah, respect. Teach them how to respect you, but also, and that comes through you respecting them, respecting their opinion, respecting their voice, but also having that conversation around that as well.
That's cool.
That's very cool, because I see some of the photos online and all that, Pastor Joseph, and your sons and your wife, and I can, and it really shows that your boys have a really good relationship with their dad. But what would be your greatest fear for your boys when they're growing up? Obviously, you're getting a teenager. One of the boys is going to be a teenager soon. So what is the greatest fear for you as a father, seeing your boys grow up into men?
Yeah, it's a tough one, eh? I guess I haven't really thought about it, to be honest. I know that my eldest is 18, turning 19 next year.
Wow.
So that, I guess the greatest fear for me right now is really, do they still want dad's voice in their life?
Mm.
That's all I guess I want as a dad, just that they still hear my voice, they still take on what they can, they can do whatever they want with the knowledge, but I hope that they still ask for perspective, ask for guidance, but also be able to come back and say, hey, I know that I did that for my dad as well. I went back and just said, thank you for those pearls of wisdom, even through your broken English, man. You're the man. You are the man. And I'm hoping that be the same story that I have with my boys, that because I think I've done enough I can to build some good foundations with them. But yet again, I'm not a perfect dad. They've got to face those trials themselves, and my hope is that if they need help, then I'm here and they can reach out to me. So the greatest fear would be not asking with dad's perspective or dad's voice in their life.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Oh, man.
Pastor, I just want to go back to, because shucks, I was just looking at your story the other day, and in the paper, throughout the years, even when we introduced you, there was a lot of achievements that you have achieved over the years. Your face is on the billboard at the airport, and you're doing a lot of great things, but you're so humble. How do you keep your ego in check, and how do you keep so humble?
My wife, my number one. So for me, it's the balance, because I'm not a victim of Tō so I speak highly about the achievements of others, because that's what we should be pushing, that people can achieve the impossible. But also for me, I understand that I've got to walk a thin line as well. I guess a lot of people see me as the pastor, but also on the other side, I'm trying to break down walls at the same time. So what keeps me in check, from a practical point of view, is my wife. She tells me, hey, man, pull your head in, and she doesn't say it like that. She says it very gracefully. And then she hits me with a bat. I mean, no, she's going to watch this. So rewind that.
Tell us the truth, Maria.
I'll rewind that because you're going to get in trouble, man. But yeah, my wife has been a great, just a great asset to my life. She's given me so much grounding, but also the way we were raised as well. My parents, who were number ones, day oneers, they're the ones that actually showed us the way. Very humble, like many of our Pacific Māori or parents overall. Just keeping consistent, but at the same time, I just glean from them and just learn from them. But it's also in us as Samoans as well. It's in our who we are and how we were raised as well. That the most important person is the person you put in front of you. It's kind of our slogan in life. It's like someone else comes first. So it's really sitting in that place, that be comfortable with that. But if God or someone else or a leader in the community elevates you to a position, you just got to make sure you step up to it. And speak for the people that you're trying to represent well, because there are many opportunities for many people to step into those roles. If no one's going to fill it, that means no one's going to fill it. So you just got to step up when you're being asked to. So hence why the different opportunities have come, but you've got to stay consistent in your humility as well.
That's awesome. Thanks for that.
Wow.
That's okay. Just sorry.
That's all right.
I just looked at Pete and then I got distracted.
Those
beautiful locks on your head. I was wishing I had still had hair. I just looked at that little wave on your head. I was going, must be nice.
Man.
Trying to be Superman. So you do the Sandman. Say, guys.
Put your glasses back on. Yeah,
trying to be humble, man. Really? Oh, man.
In terms of, because you're really active in the church and in the community. What's next for Pastor Joseph or Father Joseph, Brother Joseph?
Yeah, just to expand what we can do within our community. I'm very intentional about the community being empowered. So there's a few initiatives that we've started just to really empower the community in that way. Um, I'm a I'm big for not a handout, but a hand up kind of mentality.
Mm.
So giving some tools and resources to our community. So slowly building that through different initiatives. For me personally, it's really my family and I. Yeah, our journey is one of that we want to get into a bigger house. So we're just trying to sell our house, hopefully. So we've got our personal goals as well as a family that we want to achieve. And as a dad, it's really just investing to my boys intentionally, just where they want to be, where do they want to go, or I have a son that wants to study next year, or maybe he wants to work next year. I'm not too sure. We've got to have that conversation. Whether he wants to study in uni or go and get a job for a year, do a gap year. Not too sure. So as a dad, just doing that journey, you know, the adventure with my boys. But also, yeah, just seeing what happens in front of me. I'm kind of, when I see something and I know it's time to step into it, I kind of just walk into it and just go, okay, what can we change here? Or what walls can we break down here? So yeah, so let's see what happens next. I'm quite
That's cool.
excited. I'm always like excited about stuff.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
sure what it is.
Yeah,
And it's
That's
in front of
cool.
me. I go, oh, I'm excited about that. You know, just I don't know what's going to happen, but I just love being. I love to interrupt or kind of change up a few things. You know, that is
Wow.
not norm. So I like trying to do that in terms of we can do better or we can do more if we change it up a little bit. Um, so I know it's kind of vague,
That's
but
cool.
yeah, it's just
no, yeah.
disrupting the system or disrupting
That's powerful.
the way we do things.
Mhm. Yeah. Sorry, Pastor Jesse, because you touched on goals.
Mm.
So, because I want you to tell me your thoughts on goals in terms of why goals are important. We can tell our listeners and our men out there, and mostly for our young men as well. It could be some of the older men, but why having goals is really important to have. Your perspective.
Yep. So I have a lot of dreams, but then so little like aspirations you want to achieve one day. But goals are a dream with a deadline. So um, it's like the goal in itself is the achievement of a dream. You know, so I kind of make little goals of what I want to achieve in certain aspects of an initiative or event. Um, and sometimes we hit the mark, and sometimes we fail, and that's okay. We learn from it, move
Mm.
on. But I think it's important to plan it out and have a clear idea of where you want to go. Because you know, if you don't plan it out, you don't know what pathway to take. So I love to kind of work it out and go, if it doesn't look like that, at least I've got another pathway to take, if you know what I mean, in terms of a plan. So I always got goals, things I want to achieve. So it's important for men, I believe, to set those goals, you know, but don't get stuck if it doesn't happen. I think sometimes we get so caught up in trying to. I think we complain about the goal, and next minute there's an opportunity to just pass straight past us.
Yeah,
And we go, oh, missed the opportunity because we're so focused on the failings of a particular goal.
Wow, that's
Um,
powerful.
yeah, so it's really opening our eyes, going, okay, that didn't work, but hey, there's something that's coming here. Then I'm gonna grab onto that
wow.
and just jump onto that. The opportunity as it goes past us. So I'm an opportunist,
That's
so
good.
any opportunity that comes, I'm trying to go, how can that work
Mm.
for where I want to go, or how can they work for what I want to achieve? Because sometimes the goals that you set, you may not be the person to take you there. It may be someone else.
Wow.
So it's actually going, okay, what's around me and who are the people around me? If I can just hold on to them for a little bit and actually work with them, obviously let them know that what you're doing and learn from them, glean from them and take on what they've actually learned and actually go on that journey with them, you'll definitely get to your goal. Because I think
Wow.
we think very individualistically in terms of our goals. But
Yeah. Wow.
man, there's other goals that you may not be able to fulfill by yourself, but someone else is on that journey, you can jump on board until it's time to get off, you know. Oh, my bus,
Wow.
get off and they can carry on their journey, but you've achieved yours. So a lot of, I think probably 50% of all the opportunities and goals I've achieved come from jumping on someone else and helping someone else, and also someone else helping me. But you got to be aware of those things and have your head up, looking around. Yeah,
you gotta be sort of at peace, or like know who you are when it comes to collective goals, eh?
Oh,
Because
totally.
sometimes we become so personal about it, and it's like, this is what I want out of this, but you got to be like sort of have that humility. It's like, oh no, this is about serving each other, sharpening one another. So that's awesome. That just the whole idea of collective and corporate goals is like,
yeah, and it's really just learning how to harmonize in the collective, but also in the choir, and then also knowing when to do a solo. If you're going to use that analogy, because sometimes someone's always focused on just doing the solo, but maybe for a season you got to be in the choir and singing the harmony with everyone else.
It's always on the board, those soloists, though, eh? Yeah, those ones that have nice voices, and you're sitting there going, oh, that's nice.
The worst ones are the ones
those forced solos. I'm the solo forced ones. Hey.
That's cool.
So yeah, it's a journey, you know, but you got to be willing to be humble enough to step into that choir mode, but also be ready enough to step into that solo. Because once someone recognizes you and you get stepped into a place where you can fulfill your goal, you got to be ready. You can't just be, I've been singing in a choir for, I'll be singing part of it. No, you just got to be ready, but at the same time, be okay with being in that season, harmonizing with someone else's dream for a short season.
Wow.
No matter how that looks, because it's a journey in itself. It's a humbling one. But at the end of the day, what you sow there, you'll reap somewhere else. So it's really just be faithful.
Oh man, I love that, Pastor Jeff. I love what you said, because I think a lot of us get caught up with like you going back to goals, Pastor Joseph. I think a lot of people get caught up with the goals that they have, and they fail, and they okay. And you're absolutely right. I think there could very well be some times where people, and I'm talking about myself as well, where the opportunity is there because you're so focused on the failure that you miss the opportunity. You miss it was right in front of you, and just and so. But it is. I totally agree with what you're saying. It's so important for our young people, or our young men, and also men in general, to have these goals. And I love what you said. Just so many gold nuggets in terms of working together. Obviously, we're going to check our egos as well sometimes. If you're leading leading some sort of a team or something. But man, beautiful. That was beautiful.
Yeah. I feel like saving some of these gems for like fans only page, eh?
What's your page name, Pastor Jason?
What channel?
Sorry. They changed the law, so I had to take down that page.
Pastor Jason, that's the other podcast.
That's the Charles one.
Now you know why I'm not a pastor anymore. Kidding.
Oh, cracker.
That's so good, man.
Oh man. So the journey. And one of the things now I think about sometimes is that we get caught up in this tall poppy thing as well. And I'm very big on encouraging guys to stand up. It's and I think if I've had a success in something, and people come around me and encourage me, I want to do the same for them and encourage them and break their mindset. Because it's definitely something that's not said all the time, but it's definitely out there. You see it in the news feeds, people bringing someone down. It just that's why all these media places turn off their comments now. Just too many grass cutters out there. So so it's really just for the men out there listening. Just really encourage you. Step up, man. You got it. You got everything you need right now for this season. So don't feel like you're less than good enough to do it. Because I think, you might not have the money to do it, but it's never about the money at the first. It's more about just getting the dream happening one step at a time, one day at a time, chipping away at it.
Yeah, but
That's awesome.
what do you think, Pastor Jesus? What do you think? Why is it that a lot of our men are not kind of stepping up to the plate? What do you think? Why is it? It could be. Just want to hear what you think. Your thoughts as to why our men out there. Is it because we become too passive, or we're not assertive enough, or we're not leading? What seems to be the issue out there, or what's some of the common themes that you as a pastor see? Like, man, because obviously you don't have that problem. You out there, you go there, you step up to the plate. But what do you think? A lot of our men, more so with our people or in New Zealand, why is it that we're not stepping up and not being bold enough to take up the challenge?
Yeah, it really depends on where you come from as well. Your background as well. If you come from a place where you are taught to wait, to be humble enough to. But I think we get humility mixed up a lot of times, and becomes false humility where you just go, oh no. So no, if you got the skills and you got the ability and you got the leadership for it and you got the dream for it, run, man. So these I would classify as 3 categories. That whole quote that someone said, I forgot who it was, and they said there's people that wait for things to happen, make it happen, and wonder what happened.
Oh.
So there's people that wait for things to happen. There's men out there going, I'll just wait for someone else to do something, then I'll go out and I'll do it myself. They wait for the guys that break through, and then there's people that make it happen. Those are the go-getters. There's people that didn't even know that tōpopi is out there. And then there's the guys who wonder what happened, and the wonder what happened guys are the guys who may be too busy, have their commitments are more about family and about just paying the bills. It's survival mode, and not thinking out, not innovating outside that box. But it's not on a fault of their own. They maybe need to change who's in their waka, and they need some innovators, and they need some game changers in their waka. Because if you're going to have people that are wandering the same as you, you're never going to go anywhere. So it's definitely. I can't say for everyone. I can't generalize, and I won't put a blanket comment over it. But I would say that there's a lot of men actually stepping up, But then there's a lot of men that are just waiting to see if things will work out, And then there's those who just are not too sure what to do. And they probably just need some practical guidance through the process, and they need some mentors. They need some brothers alongside them that can help them through. When I had a case like that during the week, and our brother just asked me some questions on how to start a trust this week, and I knew all the details, so I just texted him back, "This is what you need to do," and he texted me, "Go, man, how did you know?" It was like a quick text, and he just got all the information. And if I can be helpful for him in that moment, that means he won't have to wonder what happened. He can actually now, so he can now go and actually make it happen.
Wow.
So a simple text can actually do wonders for, or even a Zoom, conversation. And it's all about breaking what's up here, because a lot of times we limit ourselves because of what we think about ourselves up here.
That's awesome. Pastor, be expecting a text from me in the next week.
Let's start again. Silly, don't do on your channel.
I'll be like, oh, Sam, can you forward me the text about how to start up a trust?
He's gonna send you the link. He'll send you the link.
Send you the link.
I'll give you templates.
Amazing, mate.
Wow.
That's good, man.
But it's really helpful, because there's stuff that you got, Charles, that you just, even in a conversation, you're telling friends around you, go, nah, just do it like this. And they're going, oh, I didn't realize you can just do it like that. And so for them, someone that's been sitting at home, wondering how to do it. Now you've actually lit a fire for them. Now going, oh man, I can do it.
That's powerful.
It's that whole collective moving forward, not pulling each other down, but actually going, if I can add to someone's life by actually giving them some things I've learned along the journey, then share it. Be open about it.
Yeah, one thing I'm trying to encourage, just through, because I think for a long time I've been someone that's like the person wondering, And so like this year's been a year of just like shoot your shot.
Yeah.
And you got nothing to lose. It's like, okay, if you shoot your shot,
Yeah.
the only answer you're gonna get is a sorry, maybe later, or oh, sorry, I can't help you in this way. Or you might get a mate, this is what I got for you. So it's really encouraging hearing what you're saying. And then sort of like just man, it's like imagine the culture that can be developed once we duplicate these spaces and encourage other men to do the same in their spaces, like how beneficial it'll be for our families and our communities. And so like just hearing you, Pastor, come on out this platform and really encourage our men, and just, you know, this is something that's been part of your work and your influence for a long time. So I love Pastor just for just really encouraged there.
Yeah,
well, just let me know also. You need help, you know, just let me know.
Oh man.
Let me know.
I feel like I'm asking every person that we're interviewing for some help. This is amazing.
That's what it's all about, man. Hey, Pastor Joseph, that's all about. We just men help each other, iron sharpen iron. So that's so awesome.
So good.
I'm conscious of the time as well, Pastor Joseph. I know you're a busy man, so I know you want to spend some family time with your own family. But just one more question: what's one phrase or what's one kind of sentence of inspiration you could impart for our men who are listening tonight? What's one thing that you could like, hey, inspire them with?
Yeah. Well, key thing with mandate, you know, reframe, unlock, and take charge. You know, that whole thing, you know, with that whole thing of men stepping up into that and actually making sure that they're okay about being a man and actually okay with themselves, that the person in the mirror they're happy with. And I think for our men, I guess my encouraging thing for you is whoever's listening to this is that well, one of the big things for me is that the whole song Michael Jackson starts with a man in the mirror. And I remember listening to that when I was younger, and I thought, man, that starts with one person, and that one person is that person looking back in the mirror. So my encouragement to any men out there that are listening to this or viewing this is that it starts with you. You know, you just look in the mirror and be okay with the version you are right now, because that version may not look like that one day. It might change, may evolve, and you may see things totally different. But just start with yourself. Start with that person in the mirror.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. So appropriate as well, Pastor Joseph, because my daughter, she's for some reason this week she's been checking out Michael Jackson. I don't know, she just loves his music.
Yeah.
She's been playing Man in the Mirror. And so for you to share, like, oh, bro, it's just too much. But yeah, thank you so much, Pastor Joseph. We so many good nuggets. I think there has to be another part two. There has to be a part two with us together and talking together about how to help our men out there and to be purpose driven. So we just thank you also. But is there anyone that you could call out? Do you think that would be great for the show or ideal for the show, Pastor Joseph? Who would that person be? That one person be?
One person, I can think of many, but we'll start with one. I'll call up also Kevin Mealamu.
Kevin.
Get on here, Kevin.
Kevin, if you're listening,
Kevin Mealamu, come on. Good time to shine. Like he hasn't shined. That guy, legend. Yeah, so that would be my call out, my shout out. Also, because he's got a lot of pearls of wisdom to add to the conversation as well for our men.
Wow, that's awesome.
Charles, you want to say anything, Charles?
No, just shucks. Honestly, every time I talk to you, Pastor, just really encouraged by the work that you do, and just a lot of the wisdom that you carry, and just really leading the way for our people. And one thing or two words that have come out of the Talanoa is like really celebrate and elevate each other, and that's what that's something I really want to do for our people, just celebrating and elevating one another and their achievements. So thank you again. Thank you for the pearls of wisdom. I'll probably ring you up for counseling later on, and over to you, Pete.
Charles. Yeah, Pastor Joseph, I just want to thank you once again. Also, thank you for coming on the show tonight. Thank you for the like Charles was saying, your pearls of wisdom, and for just being encouraging, really encouraging tonight. And you know what? I think the one thing that really stood out tonight for me is your humility. You're absolutely right. I totally agree with what you're saying when people say, "Oh, I can't do that. I'm too humble," and you know that we all know it's kind of false humility. But what you see is what we get with you also. A man of God who loves the Lord, but more so loves his community as well, and your family. And so also thank you so much for your humility, and just the work that you do, man. You're all over the place, man, and the work that you do just speaks for itself. So also thank you so much. And so with that, we usually give out a gift. I know we would love to give you a call, like some money and all that kind of stuff, but
I'd love to give you a car,
yeah,
but you already got a house.
Matchbox.
But every guest that comes on the show, Pastor Joseph, we always give them a gift. So I just did a bit of a quick sketch, kind of like a caricature of you. And like I said before, because I'm writing down stuff. If I'm looking at the camera, I'm writing down what you talked about and what you shared this evening.
Yeah.
So this is for you. So when alert levels go down, Charles and I will personally come over and would love to drop this off to you. So this is for you. So.
Oh wow, man! Who's that guy? Who is that guy?
Handsome guy.
Why'd you make him so handsome?
Yeah, that's super.
Oh, that's next level.
Appreciate it. So we'll leave the last words for you, Pastor Joseph. Last words for you.
So last words today to our mandate family out there, all the men out there: refine, unlock, take charge.
Mandate.